Brandon. We're continuing our week of Gamescom coverage without being at Gamescom.
This is great.
Yeah.
I wish everybody did this. This is working out just fine.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it will be great if other publishers let us check out their demos ahead of time like Ubisoft's done. So yeah, for the Crew 2, we're not doing the kind of walkthrough because, I mean, it's just me racing around. So we'll just kind of give some more standard impressions video. It was really one of my big surprises at E3.
Yeah.
You know, because I always had like just very fundamental problems with the way the Crew played the first game, and so it was great to like see them nailing those fundamentals at E3. And it's like,
and for me, Crew was always really tempting. I played it, but I just didn't like invest a lot of time into it. So yeah, a sequel that's improving stuff and adding new types of traversal and
yeah, and so to have that big open world in there with courses that are fun to play and cars to drive and actually like a lot of variety now with them adding in like the motorcycles and the boats and planes. Really curious to see how a lot of that stuff's gonna play out. So for the Gamescom demo, unfortunately it didn't really do a lot more than the E3 demo. It was just some more different events in the same part of the map, and they let us kind of mess about a little bit with switching, between vehicles in the open world, but then it's like, then we just got very focused on like some specific, like different types of
like manually
racing events. Yeah, so like anytime.
Those are definitely scripted in the E3 demo. So how does that work when you're actually in the game?
Yeah, so you just kind of like click I think it's the right stick, but you just click a button and then you get like a, like pick which thing that you want. Do you want land, air, or sea? And then based on where you're at, you can select whatever. So like obviously if you select a boat in the air and you drop onto the road, it's not going to do much good.
Right.
But I think
you can?
I think you can, yeah.
Well, see, that's you remind me of Steep.
But I don't think you can change the boat while you're driving.
Okay. But that reminds me of Steep, because that's what I wanted to do in Steep was like snowboard off of a cliff and then while I'm in midair switch to the parachute, but you had to be not moving and then bring up the menu. So yeah, that would be
yeah.
Because like
I think I do have in the clip. I do like me switching from the plane to the boat or something like that.
Cool.
So, or maybe it was a plane to the car. I don't remember which. But yeah, so we got into some like very specific races. The first was there's a motocross race, and so it's interesting because I played some motocross games that are like very focused on that, and there's a lot more like bounce and everything to the bikes. So this is a little bit more. Again, like it's a big game with a lot of vehicles, so things are a little bit more standardized. But they still had a lot of that track design, kind of felt right, in terms of like, getting over the jumps and cutting the corners as close as you can and all of that. So that felt good. I don't remember, at least when the Crew first came out, I don't remember there being any kind of bikes. They may have added them in later, because they added a lot of stuff to the first game after the fact. And the way that those events kind of work is interesting, because when you like drive up to the event, and then as you're driving up, it like automatically switches you to like an appropriate vehicle. So I think you can manually change the specific ones as well, but like they'll just like, here, this is right for the job. And then you drive up to the starting line. And then after everybody like in your session is ready to go, then the race will start. The second one I did was a drifting event, which was really funny because I knew I was not doing very well, but they were telling me, it's like, oh yeah, you're great, you got the hang of this. I'm like, no, I don't. But okay, sure.
The Need for Speed guys at E3 were throwing out records. They're like, just break this record. I'm like, clearly there's got to be a better record than that. Come on.
Right.
I think there is a bit of that at preview events. They're just like, you're the best racer in the last 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, drifting is always such a weird thing, because I feel like most games always like it's always a different feel to it. There's always a different style of like how exactly you go about it. So yeah, like I think Need for Speed is the only like one where you can just like pick it up and it's like, okay, this is like, I just got the drift down because it's pretty simple to do. I think the way it was set up is that you had a combo multiplayer that built up unless you hit something. So if you slid around and then you hit into something, then you lose your combo. So yeah, did that.
So you're maintaining the same combo through multiple turns.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. Okay.
And then
and that's just for points. It doesn't translate into speed or anything.
Right,
It's
right.
just- okay.
Yeah, I mean, speed can decrease your points to, get speed and angle and all that fun stuff, right? The next one was, they basically called it like a pro racing event, kind of like on like a IndyCar F1 style kind of track. And so that was interesting because, like it was a lot faster, a little bit more technical in the turns, but still not like super technical as again like with the motocross, like not as like hardcore on that as you would have in one of those games, but still like getting the feel of that, the variety of that in there. And I remember there being some of those kinds of tracks in the first game, and it feels like maybe here we'll have a little bit more of that towards like, okay, yeah, there's a speedway here in this part of the map, and you can go there and you can do these kinds of races.
Do you think you'll notice that? Do you think you'll go through the world of Crew 2 and be like, oh wait, this is different than the first game? This building wasn't here. Or
I think that like even though overall the overarching thing is pretty much the same geography, that the map itself is going to be like extremely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you notice that? You think? Like, do you think that'll? Do you think they could have made a big change, and will that be lost on only the most dedicated fans of like, or is that? Do they smartly realize like that's not a huge deal? Like you said, the geography is mostly going to be the same, so it's like, why put a lot of effort into tweaking stuff when we can just make the events more exciting on the same map?
Yeah, I just think that I think I'm curious because we haven't really gotten to explore, so I'm curious if some of those landmark things like are even there. Like I feel like again, like it's in like a general sense it's the same map, but realistically in terms of like the way everything's laid out, it's probably like a totally different game.
Because just from an open world fan,
yeah,
I can't think of many open world games that are sequels that it's literally the same map. Like I'm kind of curious actually going into Shadow of War. It's like it's supposedly still in Mordor, so I don't know if we're gonna go to some of the same areas. But usually if there's like a sequel to an open world game, it's a whole different ball of wax. So. Having not spent that much time in Crew, I was wondering if you noticed that.
And the game just looks extremely different too. So I imagine even if there is an area that's identical, that you probably might not even recognize it anyways,
or appreciate it because you get to fly over it now.
Yeah,
which you didn't do before. So
yeah, you could zoom in and out a lot on the game, but yeah, now actual flying. Oh, and then what's funny is the pro racing event was like the last like official thing to show us, but then I talked them into like, wait, can we do a boat race?
Nice.
So we did a boat race, and then of course I botched it because I wasn't paying attention to see that like there were like buoys for checkpoints, and then like I have to go between the buoys. And
it's boat racing 101. Like, come on.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know. So yeah. Anyways, I went off to the side of a buoy, and then I saw the missed checkpoint, and then it took them a second to tell me like how I get back on.
So this is the part of the edit where I show you playing badly right now. This is you. You missed one buoy right there, and now you're gonna miss the other one. Yeah. Okay.
No, I only missed the first one, I think, but yeah. Once I missed it, then there was no catching up. I thought I could.
But I kind of like that about the E3 demo, that they just threw you right into it. I thought I would, I thought it would have been like, select, this race. Okay, now you're done with that race. Now select the other one. And they just kind of like, I hope you got to drive through buoys because here you go.
I didn't feel like this demo was give me as strong of an impression as the E3 one. I think with the E3 they showed me the race where like you're hopping over buildings and stuff like that, and like that was like, okay, this is like very different than anything we did in the first Crew. The other thing is, I know it's a ways off, but I think with whatever hardware they were showing it off this time, like the performance like really wasn't all the way up to snuff, towards like kind of like when I was playing, like I was not being able to see very well when going around turns, just because it's like, oh, the frame rate's just not tight enough to where this feels blurry.
Okay.
So, but that's just early days. Not anything I could really judge it on at this point, but it was just like, yeah, that's something to work on, something to go forward.
Do they bring any taglines to Gamescom? Is there anything that they were like, at Gamescom we are focusing on this, like we want this to be your big takeaway, or is it just kind of like, hey, more Crew 2?
Yeah, I mean, I know they were trying to show me this thing called Live Lines, which I don't even think we should show, because it was just something that they were trying to talk to two of us at the same time and explain it, and I was also trying to like control it while they were explaining it, and it was like, what exactly am I doing right now? So unfortunately, I can't really speak to that in like a really great sense, but I think they'll probably put out like a trailer or a preview thing for that, so you can find more information on how that works. I think that it basically like lets you back up in the timeline of like everything you're doing, and like I think it's like tracing like your route as you're driving around the map. And stuff.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, after Zelda did that with Breath of the Wild, I want to see how I have like every game ever do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the journey.
But yeah, so still, not much more to go on them E3, but I'm looking forward to really getting like a deeper dive into the game, which it's going to be a while, so I'm sure they'll have me come back up there for a better preview.
So you're plateauing right now on Crew 2. You're satisfied.
Yeah.
That they filled up your tummy with Crew 2 and you're good, but nothing really blew you away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so close after E3, so it's tough. Were you expecting a lot more?
Yeah, I mean, after my positive impression, like I was hoping for something like more along those lines, and that's just, it just felt like, okay, here's a couple of standard races, and like not really giving me an air race, and like me kind of having to fight for a boat race. I'm like, okay, like this is the new stuff that I'm excited about, but motorcycles were great, and seeing the tracks as well, so the speedways. So yeah, that'll do it for our Ubisoft Gamescom impressions for this week. But yeah, check out our reactions from the live streams earlier, and Assassin's Creed and Far Cry 5 videos as well. Thank you.